This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Wise Dan, 3.5 lengths from the lead with 3 furlongs to go. He's maneuvered off the inside as they make their way toward the top of the stretch. He's followed by Paris Vegas. Then Optimizer is in between horses, North Star Boy. And then Boisterous Sky Blazer swings to the clear on the outside. Top of the stretch. Wise Dan has been uncovered on the outside. He's got a furlong to go. Syed's got a short lead. 5 iron down toward the inside. Here comes Optimizer with an upset chance on the outside. Wise Dan coming down to the line, and Wise Dan has come away with the lead. Optimizer surges, and here's the wire. Wise Dan, I think he did it.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Down the Stretch. I'm Mark Asano. On this morning's show, a major retirement. Then we will look back and recap the Saratoga meet. We'll take a look at the final stakes races of the meet, and we will salute those who excelled. And later on, we will welcome in a pair of special guests. Mr. Kellyn Gorder, who will be represented in today's Super Derby at Louisiana Downs, as well as the Iroquois at Churchill, and Mr. Mike Stidham, who's got Jessica Starr for the Super Derby, as well as a pair for the Arlington, Washington Futurity. So all of that and more if you stay with us for this, our September 6th edition of the program, which is being sponsored by Parting Glass Racing, Saratoga's original racing partnership. Visit them on the web at partingglassracing.com. Good morning once again. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the studio. It feels a lot different being here this morning. We had a lot of fun over those 7 Saturdays at Saratoga. Hope you had a very enjoyable and successful Saratoga meet. And we will be recapping the final 3 days of the meet on this morning's show. We'll look back at the major stakes and salute those who did exceptionally well at the Spa meet. But we begin with a major retirement. Palace Malice, who was considered the top older horse in the country prior to his lackluster effort in the Whitney, has been retired. While at Rood and Riddle Clinic, it was discovered that Palace Malice had a bruise in his left hind cannon bone. Now, Cod Campbell, the president of Dogwood Stable, owner of Palace Malice, said the injury would likely heal in 60 to 80 days, but the decision to retire him was made. Palace Malice won 7 of 17 starts, including the Belmont Stakes and the Met Mile. And it says something about a racehorse when you can win major stakes at 8 furlongs and 12 furlongs. Palace Malice earned about $2.67 million, and you just don't replace those kinds of horses. And very sad news, exercise rider Juan Vasquez died in a training accident yesterday morning on the Belmont training track. The 39-year-old Vasquez worked for Bruce Brown, and our condolences to his family and friends. We begin our stakes recap with the Bernard Baruch, and most eyes on Wise Dan, number 4, making his first start in 17 weeks following colic surgery, which came back in mid-May. Wise Dan carrying high weight of 127 pounds. For the call of the Bernard Baruch, here's Tom Durkin.
And they're off. Wise Dan gets off to an uneventful beginning. Down toward the inside, BioPro with early speed, 5 iron. Sprinting out there as they race for the first turn. So it's 5 iron on the outside and BioPro toward the rail. Syed comes away running in third. Wise Dan gets a perfect spot. In behind the lead, he's 4th into the first turn. Optimizer is 5th down toward the inside. Paris Vegas runs in 6th. North Star Boy reserved in 7th. Boisterous is 8th. He's about 11 or 12 lengths from the lead, a break of 4 to late running Sky Blazer. Into the backstretch they go, and 5 Iron is running an ambitious race here and opens up 4.5 lengths on the field. BioPro lets him go. Syed to the outside. Wise Dan under a light hold there by Johnny V. Down the backstretch run. The quarter was up in 23 and 1/5 seconds with 5 Iron blazing away down the backstretch run. Half up. Strong, 46 and 1/5 seconds. Wise Dan is now about 7 lengths from that lead as they move into the far turn. So they have caught the front runner 5 Iron. BioPro now just a length behind in second. On the outside, Syed is third. Wise Dan, 3.5 lengths from the lead with 3 furlongs to go. He's maneuvered off the inside as they make their way toward the top of the stretch. He's followed by Paris Vegas. Then Optimizer is in between horses, North Star Boy. And then Boisterous Sky Blazer swings to the clear on the outside. Top of the stretch. Wise Dan has been uncovered on the outside. He's got a furlong to go. Syed's got a short lead. 5 Iron down toward the inside. Here comes Optimizer with an upset chance on the outside. Wise Dan coming down to the line, and Wise Dan has come away with the lead. Optimizer surges, and here's the wire. Wise Dan, I think he did it.
Two-time reigning horse of the year, Wise Dan needed every bit of his great heart and determination to hold off Optimizer to win the Baruch by a nose. Now, Charlie Lepresti, this has been totally overlooked. Charlie Lepresti used a series of main track workouts to have Wise Dan prepared off the 17-week layoff, thinking they would get him more fit. Well, that was a terrific move by Charlie, as Wise Dan, despite giving 11 pounds to Optimizer, had just enough left to hold him off. Optimizer for new trainer Jose Fernandez ran the race of his career to just miss. If someone had told me prior to the Baruch that Wise Dan was only going to be a nose better than soft turf specialist Optimizer, I wouldn't have thought much about the performance. But I came away quite impressed with Wise Dan, who has now won 14 of his 15 career races on turf. After losing his debut on grass, he has won 14 consecutive grass races. And until somebody beats him, including any European, because they've never gotten close to him, he remains the finest turf miler in the world. Next up, the Woodward, in a rematch of the 1-2 finishers from the Whitney. Moreno, the speed, number 4, the slight favorite at 2.5 to 1. Also at 2.5 to 1, number 2, It's My Lucky Day. Adding blinkers. For the call of the Woodward, here's Tom Durkin.
They're in the gate. And they're off. And Last Gunfighter got off to a good start, and here's Moreno and Junior Alvarado bent on the lead, and they've got it. Moreno sprints to the lead into the first turn. It's My Lucky Day, though not far behind him. And then stablemates Long River and Romance, they're running third and fourth. Toward the inside, Prayer for Relief is fifth. Last Gunfighter sixth. Norm Vegas seventh on the outside. 6 lengths from the lead. And then late running Zevo. Stefanozzi trails the field. 24 flat opening quarter mile into the backstretch. Moreno's on an uncontested lead. And he's out there by 2, but he's targeted by It's My Lucky Day, who's not going to let him get far away. He's just a length behind. Long River third. Romance fourth. Prayer for Relief fifth down toward the inside. Another 3 to Last Gunfighter, still about 7 or 8 from front running Moreno. Moreno up for the half. 47 and 2/5 seconds. The pace is a strong one, and Moreno continues to take them along. It's My Lucky Day targeting him into the far turn. Long River Romance running third and fourth. Last Gunfighter called on for run around the far turn. And Moreno is set upon by It's My Lucky Day. They have run 3/4 of a mile in 1:10 and 4. So they come to the top of the stretch. It's been Moreno in front, but he's still got a narrow lead. It's My Lucky Day is at his throat latch as they turn for home. And Prayer for Relief drives through on the inside, top of the stretch. and Moreno still desperately holding on to the lead. A resurgent It's My Lucky Day. They're shoulder to shoulder. Prayer for Relief is third. Thrilling finish in the Woodward. Never Say Die Moreno. It's My Lucky Day who won.
It's My Lucky Day Eddie Plaza. Paco Lopez adding blinkers, overcomes bumping in the lane, withstands a somewhat frivolous objection, and a steward's inquiry and captures the Woodward by a half length over a game Moreno. Prayer for Relief, pretty good third at 24-1. After allowing Moreno a clear lead in the Whitney, Plaza put blinkers on It's My Lucky Day in an attempt to help the colt focus better. He stayed in closer attendance to Moreno throughout and simply outgamed that one through the stretch. What a nice year for It's My Lucky Day. 4 for 6, more than 770,000. Now, while Moreno is likely to go on to the 1 1/4 Jockey Club Gold Cup, it's questionable where It's My Lucky Day will go next. And I don't believe It's My Lucky Day is Breeders' Cup nominated. So that could play a part in where we see him. But a very exciting renewal of the Woodward. Congratulations to the connections of It's My Lucky Day. Sprinters up next in the Forego. And clearly now number 8 was the overwhelming favorite at 4-5, coming off a huge effort in the Belmont Sprint Championship. But that was back on July 5th. Palace, who was actually on the fence to even run here in the Forego, was the second choice at 4-1. Now at 9:30 last Saturday morning, Linda Rice, the trainer of Palace, was in her golf cart and she stopped by our set on the backstretch. And I asked her, what are you going to do with Palace this afternoon? Because Palace prefers 6 furlongs to 7 furlongs. But he was doing so well, Linda was torn whether or not to run him. So we'll take a look how he did with the call of the Forego. Here's Tom Durkin.
And they're off. Weekend Hideaway gunning for the early lead, and Zebros has got his speed too. Up the backstretch, Weekend Hideaway, Zebros going head-to-head, and Palace not far behind. Confrontation has come out fourth behind this lively battle here. Then a break of 3 back to Big Business. Clearly now continues on the outside. He's about 7 lengths from that. Heat up front. Vijack follows him closely. 5 lengths back to Sensational Slam. Capo Bastoni trails the field. Wicked first quarter, 22-2, and Zebros is the leader into the far turn. He has outsprinted the fleet-footed Weekend Hideaway, who's now a length and a half behind. Confrontation third. On the inside, Palace is now fourth. Clearly now the one debate, 5 lengths from the lead with 3 furlongs from the wire. The half up in 45-1, bruising fractions here. Zebros still in front. Weekend Hideaway is second, and clearly now draws in ever closer as the field comes to the top of the stretch. Palace is right in behind the lead, and he dives to the inside with a menacing move as they enter the final furlong. And clearly now has got a lot to do. He's dropped 5 lengths behind. In the meantime, Palace has come through and has seized the lead, and Palace is pouring it on. Vijack comes through down toward the inside, and they're coming down to the finish, and Palace dazzles here and wins by 3.5 lengths.
Well, I guess Linda made the right decision as Palace rallied along the fence to win the Forego by 3.5 lengths over Big Business. Vijack third, while the odds-on favorite clearly now 8th of 9 in a very poor effort. Claim for $20,000 back in December of 2012. Palace has now won more than $1.2 million since that claim. That was a pretty good claim. And if Linda can keep Palace healthy and sound, the Vosburg and the Breeders' Cup Sprint, both at his favorite distance of 6 furlongs, would be next. I don't know if Clearly Now had any legitimate excuse. We probably won't know until we see him run again, but he was absolutely dreadful. And the final race in this segment, the Prioress for 3-year-old fillies. With a revised stake schedule at Saratoga, the test at 7 furlongs now comes before the 6 furlong Prioress. Wide open, the 2-to-1 favorite, number 6, Misbehavior, but 7 of the 8 starters in here went postward between 2-to-1 and 7-to-1. For the call of the Prioress, here's Tom Durkin.
And the rough. Misbehavior breaks on top. Stonetastic comes up now, and now she's in front. Stonetastic is the leader. Southern Honey moves through in between horses. Now second. On the outside, Misbehavior runs in third. 13 Arrows fourth, and at the rail, Tea Time fifth. Who's in Town is sixth, about 4 lengths from the front now. Then Sweet Whiskey second to last, and Princess Violet trails the field as they race into the far turn. 22-1 was the opening quarter here by Stonetastic. Out there a length and a half. Misbehavior on the chase now. Second and neck. Southern Honey in between horses. Will try to come on through now from third. On the inside, 13 Arrows races in fourth. And then it's Tea Time, followed by Who's in Town, Sweet Whiskey, and Princess Violet, who's still about 6 from the front. They're off the turn. Stonetastic drilled a 44 3/2 mile. Sizzling pace set by Stonetastic, and she's still in front, and she's kicking away. Stonetastic with a breakaway move inside the 8th pole. And then it's Misbehavior on the outside, followed by Southern Honey. And wow, what an effort from Stonetastic. She was stone cold fantastic.
Coming off a ridiculously easy allowance score against much softer at Monmouth and last, Stonetastic just dominates the Prioress, winning by 8.5 lengths. Now, I know inside speed was very good the last several days at the meet, but this was a very good performance. The Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint is at 7 furlongs, a distance which Stonetastic has yet to run at. But, in my opinion, I think 7/8 is well within her scope. Now, we're obviously not going to know that for certain until we see her run, but because of her very rateable speed, I think she can get 7/8. Kelly Breen trains this daughter of Mizzen Mast, and Paco Lopez, who won the Woodward, was up here. This is an exciting filly. And along with her fellow 3-year-old filly, Artemis Agritera, I think they turned in 2 of the most outstanding sprint performances of the entire meet. And we are up to our first break on this September 6th edition. Thank you so much for having joined us. When we return, 2-year-old action at Saratoga. But as we go to the break, we're going to begin with 2-year-old action at Del Mar with a futurity. The 2-to-1 favorite, number 9, Skyway. So we'll take a look at the Del Mar futurity to the break. Back with more right after these messages.
And away they go. On the far side, we have Skyway bouncing away well. Now here comes In Excess Time in the green, and American Pharaoh. American Pharaoh now takes hold of the bit and sprints away to lead them early. Here's O. Newman pulling pretty hard along the inside. On the far side, Holiday Camps in the vanguard too. Calculator's the grey, only 3.5 off the leaders, been followed then by Iron Fist, Red Button on the far side. Henry's Holiday last, 8 off the leader. They run past a half mile. American Pharaoh leading it by a length. Holiday Campers right there second. On the far side, Skyway. Calculator races between them with O. Newman down at the rail. In Excess Time in the green, 5 off the leaders. Then back to Red Button, Iron Fist, and last of all, Henry's Holiday. They come into the quarter pole now, and American Pharaoh kicks on. American Pharaoh sent along, leads it by 2. Calculator comes to take him on. Skyway's back in third. They head for home in the Del Mar futurity, and it's all American Pharaoh. He's strong on the lead. American Pharaoh striding away, leads by 4 big lengths over Calculator, who's a game second. But American Pharaoh, the son of Pioneer of the Nile, has absolutely annihilated them in the Del Mar futurity. American Pharaoh and Victor Espinosa. Calculator was second. And then it'll be close, Skyway and Iron Fist, followed by Henry's Holiday.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Hey, race fans, Head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Cassano, and American Pharaoh for Bob Baffert and Victor Espinoza by 4 3/4 over Calculator and Iron Fist. Now, the first three finishers from the Del Mar Futurity were all coming out of the same maiden race at Del Mar back on August 9th. And they were all trounced by a colt named Ohm, O-M. So I think we should be looking out for Ohm. All right, back to Saratoga and Sunday's Spinaway, run over a sealed sloppy track. The $1.65 to the $1 favorite, number 2, Angela Renee. In addition to being a very historic stakes race for 2-year-old fillies, this year's Spinaway, the final race call for Tom Durkin. So, for the call of this year's Spinaway, here is Tom Durkin.
And they're off. Bonnie Kay breaking for that lead from that far outside post. Between horses, Darling Sky and Winter Dawn, and they are racing toward the front down the backstretch run. Condo Commando squeezes through an opening down toward the rail. She's looking for the lead, too. By the Moon is now running in 5th. Angela Renee has come out 6th. She's only about 4 lengths from the lead. Then a break of 4 back to Lady Zuzu, and Raya Binka trails the field. In the slop, a quarter in 22 2. And it's Condo Commando. The leader as the field moves into the far turn. Bonnie Kay is on the chase second. By the Moon on the outside. Angela Renee's trying to come on through between horses. Down toward the inside, Darling Sky. Around the far turn, Condo Commando doing it easily, opening up a 2.5 length lead here. Ran a half in 45 4/5 seconds. So it's Condo Commando to catch as they come to the top of the stretch. By the Moon is chasing her. Angela Renee has dropped 7 lengths off the lead. Then farther back, it's Darling Sky, and it is Condo Commando splashing down the stretch here at the Spa, and she's all alone for the final furlong of the Spinaway. And then it's By the Moon, and farther back, Angela Renee coming down to the finish. Condo Commando was splash-tastic. By the Moon second. Angela Renee third.
Condo Commando is out of the mare 'Tis Wonderful, something which describes the career of Tom Durkin to a T. Tom was quite emotional, as you could see, and nice job by Naira to show Tom calling his final race, and nice job by Condo Commando to overcome an awkward start from the inside post going 7/8. She dominated by 13 1/4. A huge winner of a maiden claiming race in her debut, and last, Condo Commando is now a Grade 1 winner for Rudy Rodriguez and owner Mike Dubb, who won the owner's title at Saratoga. It's reminded me a little bit about a long time ago when Alan Jerkins had a sprinter by the name of Kelly Kipp, who broke his maiden in a maiden claimer and went on to become a multiple stakes winner. Nice ceremony for Tom following the Spinaway. And on closing day, the line was about 7 furlongs long to get an autograph from Tom. Now, we had the chance to interview Tom on last week's show. If you missed it, go to capitalotb.com. Scroll down to the bottom to the YouTube link. Just click on YouTube and go to last week's edition of Down the Stretch on August 30th. Tom, as always, was quite entertaining. Monday, closing day in the hopeful. 7 starters, 3 of whom were maidens. Now, this was about as close to a 2-horse race, at least on paper, as you could get. 65 cent to the $1 favorite, number 6, Competitive Edge. 8-5 second choice, number 5, I Spent It, who acted up very badly in the paddock and at the gate. For the call of the hopeful, here's John Imbriel.
And they're off. And Signature Cat comes right out on the lead. I Spent It, Competitive Edge on the outside. Then it's Requite and Maritic down towards the rail as they head up the backstretch. It's Signature Cat with I Spent It in between horses and Competitive Edge on the outside. A break of 2 to Maritic in 4th, and Requite is 5th. Then it's a 6-length break back to the 2 trailers, Charm and Decabrist. And the opening quarter was run in 22 and 3/5 seconds, and it's 3 two-year-olds across the track here. Signature Cat at the rail. I Spent It in between horses and Competitive Edge on the outside, and the 3 of them are right together as they round the far turn. They've opened up 4 lengths on Requite in 4th. It is Signature Cat. I Spent It. Now Signature Cat is dropping back as Competitive Edge goes on with it now to take over the lead. And I Spent It is in 2nd. Requite is 3rd. Signature Cat has dropped out of it. The half was run in 44 and 4/5 seconds. They come into the stretch in the hopeful. And it's Competitive Edge with the lead. And a furlong to the finish. Competitive Edge in front by 3 lengths now. I Spent It in 2nd. And Requite is 3rd. Competitive Edge makes it 2 for 2 here at the Spa. Competitive Edge, the winner by 4.5 lengths. I Spent It, a clear-cut 2nd. Charm came on for 3rd.
Competitive Edge, coming off a 10 1/4 length maiden victory in his debut and last, sits a perfect outside stalking trip and wins the hopeful by 5 3/4 over main rival I Spent It. It was 9 lengths back to Charm in 3rd. A $750,000 2-year-old purchase earlier this year for brand new owners to the game. Competitive Edge appears worth every penny of that investment. In fact, the 2 women who bought him sold an interest to Michael Tabor, and they are likely out on their original investment. And if he stays healthy, Competitive Edge will likely earn much more money. I would say give I Spent It another chance. He acted up very badly in the paddock and at the gate. I don't think he showed his very best. The Champagne likely to be the next start for at least the winner and possibly the runner-up as well. All right, time to take a few moments to congratulate those who excelled at Saratoga. For the 4th year in a row, Todd Pletcher and Chad Brown finished 1-2 in the trainer standings. It was Pletcher's 11th Saratoga training title. Now, both Todd and Chad are very talented, and they have the most horses. Todd went 28 for 131, that's about 21%, while Chad went 23 for 98, a little better than 23%. So it wasn't much of a stretch to think they would finish 1-2 again. But there were several others with far less runners who had outstanding meets. Jimmy Jerkins, 9 for 28. That's about 32%. And he ran 1-2 in the Travers. Great meet. Tony Dutrow, 7 for 26. That's about 27%. Couple of stakes wins, an outstanding meet. But there was some bad news from the Dutrow barn. The Big Beast, the winner of the King's Bishop, will be out of action for at least 2 months due to a bone chip in an ankle. Now, both Bruce Levine and Dave Donk had fine meets. Bruce went 10 for 43, that's about 23%. Dave went 6 for 29, about 21%. Mike Maker, George Weaver, and Kieran McLaughlin all had fine meets. Maker 12 for 59, that's about 20. George Weaver 11 for 54, that's about 20. And Kieran 9 for 46, also about 20. Mike Hushin and Rick Violet. Mike went 7 for 34, that's about 21%. Won the test by a pole with Artemis Agritera. Rick Violet went 7 for 35, that is 20%. He won a nice stakes race with a 2-year-old. And Jeremiah Engelhardt, who up until this year had never won a single race at Saratoga, went 5 for 23. That's about 22%. Anything 20% or higher at Saratoga is obviously quite good. Others who accomplished that feat, Lisa Lewis, Jimmy Bond, David Canizzo, Michelle Nevin, Kelly Breen, Carl Domino, and Brad Cox. On the jockey side, Javier Castellano won his second straight Spa riding title. Javier won with 58 of his 246 mounts, about 24%. Absolutely outstanding. But the rising star, and the quickly rising star, was Irad Ortiz Jr., who finished a close second. 2 years ago, Irad won 15 races at Saratoga, finishing 11th in the standings. Last year, he won 28 races while finishing 4th. This year, he won 53 races. I think that's absolutely remarkable in a short period of time. Johnny Velasquez finished 3rd, Joel Rosario 4th, and Jose Ortiz finished 5th. Business mixed during the Saratoga meet. On-track handle, which includes the Belmont and Aqueduct simulcasts, up just slightly less than 2%, but the all sources handle, betting everywhere, was down about 2.6%. Purses rose, but field size decreased from 8.14 to 7.97 horses per race. That's obviously not good. We're not going to discuss the attendance figures because they're not accurate. They haven't been for decades. NYRA sold about 6,500 season passes. Those folks were counted every single day, whether they went or not. Some other thoughts on the meet. The increased cost for attendance. You know, the grandstand from $3 to $5, the clubhouse from $5 to $8. I think it had little or no impact. I didn't hear much complaining at all. 2-year-old racing has changed dramatically. The babies start later and run less. And even the hopeful run on September 1st was impacted. There was a field of 7 for the hopeful. Between the 7 runners, they had started a total of 11 times, and 3 of them were maidens. Now, Martin Panza added 2-year-old stakes early in the summer at Belmont. I have no idea why. I think NYRA should be consolidating the 2-year-old stakes. Slightly fewer races run this year as compared to last. In 2013, NYRA ran 420. This year, 413. You know, they eliminated 7 races, which is less than 2%. I do not think, in spite of the fact that in NYRA's post-Saratoga printout, they professed that it was better quality. I didn't see better quality racing this year. When you eliminate less than 2% of the races, you are not going to see that much better quality. Now, I know most people don't care about quality, but still, it is Saratoga, and you want to see the best. Overall, a successful meet. I hope it was for you. And we are up to our next break. When we return, Mr. Kellyn Gorder. As we go to this break, the final stakes of the Saratoga meet, the Grassy Saranac. The $1.55 to the $1 favorite, number 1 Ring Weekend. A very fine second, way back on opening day. So we'll take a look at the Saranac to the break. Back with Kellyn Gorder right after these messages.
And they're off. Smooth Daddy is going out for the early lead. Ring Weekend from the rail. Bashert now moves up. Smooth Daddy with the lead over Bashert. Ring Weekend down at the hedge runs in 3rd. And then it's Storm running in 4th. Walliana's on the outside in 5th. Then a break of 3 lengths to Cabo Cat. And Long Shot Predicting is at the back of the pack in 7th. They round the clubhouse turn. Smooth Daddy with the lead here by a length and a half. Bashert is second by a head. Ring Weekend, the favorite, on the inside is 3rd through an opening quarter mile that was run in 23 and 1/5 seconds. They head up the backstretch. Smooth Daddy sets the pace here and leads by a little more than a length over Bashert. Ring Weekend is 3rd, 3 lengths from the front. Then Walliana in 4th, followed by Storm in 5th. A break of 2 to Cabo Cat, 2.5 more to Predicting, who continues to trail, and the half was run in 47 and 1/5 seconds. It's Smooth Daddy still in front. Smooth Daddy by a length and a half. Bashert, Walliana, Ring Weekend, all giving chase to Smooth Daddy. The field is now midway around the far turn. Smooth Daddy holding the lead here. Waliana on the outside. Ring Weekend down towards the rail as Boscher drops back. Then it's Storm and Cabo Cat as the field heads for home in the Saranac. And it's Smooth Daddy challenged here by Ring Weekend. Ring Weekend and Smooth Daddy, and Ring Weekend now takes the lead. Smooth Daddy is back running in second. It's Ring Weekend and Johnny Velasquez on his third winner today. Ring Weekend by 3. Smooth Daddy, a clear-cut second, a photo for third.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
The big day is here. You've told everybody. You've dressed the part. Your heart is pounding in your chest. Your horse is rolling down the stretch. He's coming. He's closing. He's the winner! You're a winner with Parting Glass Racing. PartingGlassRacing.com. PartingGlassRacing.wow!
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Cassano, and Ring Weekend for Graham Motion and Johnny V by a handy 2 3/4 lengths over Smooth Daddy to capture the Saranac. Our first guest this morning will have stake starters in this afternoon's Super Derby at Louisiana Downs, as well as the Iroquois at Churchill Downs. We welcome back to Down the Stretch Mr. Kellyn Gorder. Kellyn, Mark Cassano welcoming you back to the show.
Good morning.
Kellyn, it's nice to have you. Let's begin with announcement. Your Super Derby starter, he didn't debut until July of his 3-year-old year. Why the late start?
I think he was a horse that originally had went to Billy Mott, and he had some small issues that kept him from starting at 2, and we just we got him here this past spring. Elliott shipped him up to Churchill, and got him ready, and we ran him his first start there at Ellis Park, going a mile.
And he broke his maiden in his debut. Kellyn, were you expecting that type of effort first time out of the box?
Yeah, I really was. He'd been training so well, and he'd been out working pretty much everything that I'd put him with, and so that wasn't that big of a surprise. No.
Well, I came away pretty impressed with his allowance win in last. And for our audience, as we take a look, announcement is number 4. Kellyn, I like a lot of the things he did in this race, including coming out from behind horses, approaching the top of the stretch. I was pretty impressed. What were your feelings about this effort?
Yeah, that after watching that race, I mean, he was kind of boxed in there, going around the turn, and I was a little nervous that he might not be able to get out, but the hole kind of opened up right there at the top of the stretch, and I was really pleased the way he just kind of, didn't even hesitate. He just went right through it, and he won going away pretty impressively, and the jockey came back, and Juan Saez rode him that day, and he said he really only let him run maybe 3/16 of a mile. He said he's just learning, and he had a big gallop out that day, so that was encouraging.
Kellyn, please take a moment to describe him for us. Describe him from a physical standpoint, and then tell us what's he like mentally.
He's a good-sized horse. He's probably 16'1", 16'2". Very well balanced, and you know, he looks a lot like a typical Tiz now. Got good size and scope, and mentally, that's probably his. You know, he's very good mentally. He's like in the paddock and post parade, and he's pretty quiet. But when you ask him to run, he all gives it all. It's all.
Now, he's only run twice. His racing career has spanned exactly 1 month, and you're going to the Super Derby. You're giving up a lot of experience. Your thoughts on that, and how big a concern is it for you?
Well, it's always a concern that, when you're facing a lot more experienced horses like that. But, we feel like we've just scratched the surface with this horse, and, you don't have that many more shots at running against straight 3-year-olds. So this looked like a good spot to try him, and give him a chance anyway. And I like the outside post. Really, I think you'll be able to tuck in, before he gets to the first turn and kind of stay out of trouble.
Well, that was going to be my next question with the extreme outside post strategy. How is he doing coming into today's Super Derby?
Well, he shipped down on Monday, and he's been training really well down there. I know he's feeling really good, and my assistant, Dara Holden, that's down there with him, is giving me great reports from there. So it's I'm excited to see him run.
Well, at Churchill, you're going to have 2-year-old #Bourbon for the Iroquois. He finished 3rd in his debut two-back after breaking very slowly. Kellyn, was he in need of that first start?
Yeah, he was. I mean, we originally hadn't planned on running him at Churchill, and it was probably what I consider a work or two short, and but we decided we wanted to get a start in him before the end of the meet. And we didn't really have him ready at the gate, and he broke very slow and gave up probably 6-7 lengths at the start, and then he came running and really ran well down the stretch and close to within 3 lengths of Mr. D. And then we watched what what Mr. C did up in Saratoga, and that gave us quite a bit of confidence. We took him straight from that maiden start to the stake up in West Virginia from there. So.
And that's what we're about to look at. The Mountaineer Juvenile for our audience, #Bourbon, is number 6. Kellyn, he broke a lot better here than he had done in his debut. Had you worked with him at the gate between his debut and this race?
Yep, we had taken him up there 2 or 3 times. I think we worked him once from the gate, and he showed a lot of improvement. So I wasn't really worried about the start in this race.
Brian Hernandez, who will ride him today, rode him for the first time here at Mountaineer. What did he have to say to you after the race?
He said, the horse was still a little bit green. Down the backside, he was getting some dirt in his face and, kind of tossing his head around a little bit. But once he got him in the clear, he said he just drug him right up there and kind of made a sweeping move around the turn and won pretty easy. So he was impressed, and then I breathed. Brian breathed him 2 works back at Churchill. He breathed in company with the horse stake winner, Bourbon Eyes, a 3-year-old, and you know, he was pretty impressive in that work. They breezed together, but you know, in the gallop out, he galloped. He went right away from Bourbon Eyes. And Bourbon Eyes is a pretty nice horse.
Yes, he is. So I was going to ask you, hashtag Bourbon's had 4 listed works since the Mountaineer Juvenile. It sounds like you're very pleased with the way he's coming up to the Iroquois?
Yeah, we are. I think he's poised to run a big race today.
You have drawn the rail while stretching out. I assume you think he's going to be more forwardly placed this afternoon?
I do. I think he will break better, but I'm usually never crazy about the rail post, but there's not much we can do about that. So.
Well, before we let you go, you mentioned Bourbon Eyes, and we remember him from earlier this year winning the Northern Spur at Oaklawn. How's he doing?
He's doing well. We originally were going to try to run him in the Super Derby, and we had trouble getting a prep race to go for him, and so I ended up taking him up to Chicago and ran him in the Straight Line, which is a poly-track race, and we found out he didn't care for the poly-track, so kind of we're drawing a line through that race, and I actually just entered him today in a straight allowance race at Churchill for next week.
Well, Kellyn, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. All the best with announcement in the Super Derby and hashtag Bourbon in the Iroquois. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kellyn Gorder, ladies and gentlemen. And we are up to our final break. When we return, Mr. Mike Stidham will join us as we go to the break, the Monarco Stakes at Gulfstream. There's an interesting colt who spent his summer in South Florida. His name is Atreides. He is number 5 in here. He was 2 for 2 going into the Monarcos. Now, he hadn't beaten anybody, but he had run fast, and he's a Stone Street colt who's a half-brother to Dreaming of Julia. So watch Atreides in the Monarcos, and we will be back with Mike Stidham right after these messages.
They're in the gate. Racing in the Monarco Stakes. Bumping out of the starting gate were stablemates Tiz Marvelous and Atreides. Atreides recovers, though, and he'll race up near the lead with Pontos going out to set the pace. Black Label from his high post position comes away in second, and Atreides is taken in hand and races nicely off the speed for Edgard Zayas, third as they run out of the 1 mile chute. Atreides is 2.5 lengths better than the team of Shiva Curlin and General Shama, and after an awkward start, Tiz Marvelous is last of all as they race down the backstretch. The opening quarter controlled 23-4, and Pontos is left alone on top. He leads it by 4 lengths. Black Label is there second. Atreides just taking it all in. Racing in third is the heavy hitter. In the 2 path for Zayas and starting to close ground. 2.5 in front of Tiz Marvelous, and between horses General Shama and Shiva Curlin is last with less than half a mile to go. They went through the opening half mile in 47 seconds flat, and Pontos continues to lead the way, but here's Atreides. Atreides moving up on the outside without being asked to run, engaging Pontos, and these two quicken away 3 lengths better than Black Label. Tiz Marvelous has made it up to be 4th, followed by General Shama and Shiva Curlin, and there he goes. Atreides, without being asked to run, has taken the lead, and he's a 1/4 mile from the money, widening the advantage. It's Edgard Zayas and the very talented colt Atreides off the top of the turn, widening on a 6-length lead by 3/4 in 1:11.3, and Atreides bids this field a pleasant good afternoon. Look at this guy go. Atreides, very, very talented, and Atreides is a wrapped-up winner. He's going to win by double digits. Atreides, wow. He won by 12. General Shama got up for second in front of Tiz Marvelous third, then Black Label, Pontos, and Shiva Curlin in 1:36.2. Keep your eye on Atreides.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Casano. My thanks to Kellyn Gorder once again for having joined us. And Atreides, now unbeaten in 3 career starts with a 17.5 length romp in the Monarchos. Our final guest this morning will send out the ultra-consistent Jessica Starr for the Super Derby, and he's got a pair in the Arlington, Washington Futurity as well. Joining us live via telephone, Mr. Mike Stidham. Mike, Mark Casano, welcome you back to Down the Stretch.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Always nice to have you, Mike. Let's begin with Jessica Starr. I refer to him as ultra-consistent because he is 2 heads away from being unbeaten on dirt. Tell us about him.
Well, I'll tell you what. He's been the type of horse that we didn't really know what kind of distance he was going to, be best at. He came out of the box going 5.5 at the fairgrounds and was only beaten ahead. At that point, we thought, he's definitely a distance horse, but when he sprinted so well right off the bat, we were kind of confused. Ran him back short. He won easily, and then from there, he's just gone right up the ladder. And every time we've asked him to step up a notch, he's been able to do it, and we're hoping he can do the same today.
Well, after winning twice at Prairie Meadows, including the Iowa Derby, he traveled to Thistledown for the Ohio Derby. We're about to take a look at it. For our audience, Jessica Starr is number 9. Mike, this was a tough beat. I thought he was home. Talk about this effort.
Yeah, that race, I remember, talking to the rider, David Mello, about it in the morning, and we both had the same opinion that the speed horse Almost Famous in there was one that if he got loose on the lead and he was out there too easy, that he might, steal the whole thing. And I think David focused, which I didn't blame him for, focused on trying to, stay in contact with that horse. And by doing so, I think, it softened our horse up just enough to be vulnerable to be caught right at the fire, and that's what happened.
Mike, this was his first start at 1 1/8. Do you think the 9 furlongs got him beat, or just the dynamics of the race?
Well, actually, that was 1 1/16 last time. This is his first time going 1 1/8. I really don't think, if he's ridden properly, that I don't think the 1 1/8 is going to be a problem. I think if he's able to settle down the backside, take a little breather, I think he'll have plenty left to finish with.
Now, on paper, there appears to be quite a bit of speed in today's Super Derby. Will James Graham be able to position him, according to how hot the early pace is? In other words, is Jessica Starr very rateable for the rider?
Without a doubt, he's a very easy horse to ride. He has the speed to be close if you need him to be. And he's also shown that he can settle back in 4th or 5th place down the backside and still finish well. So I'm not worried about that. I love the post position draw. Being in the 1 hole, we're guaranteed to save ground around the first turn, which is always an advantage. And I think the outside speed will drop over in front of him going into that turn, and that should enable him to get a stalking type of position when they straighten their way down the backside.
All right, you've got a couple of 2-year-olds for this afternoon's Arlington, Washington Futurity. We'll begin with One Go, All Go. Here's his debut where he broke his maiden and last. For our audience, he is number 4. Mike, talk about One Go, All Go.
Well, You know, we've had about 25 two-year-olds all summer here at Arlington, and this horse was definitely one of our most talented two-year-olds, very precocious, and showed talent from early on. So we were pretty excited about getting him started. He really ran professionally in his first start. As you can see on the film, he comes through on the rail, and once he gets into in front, he just draws off at will. So, you know, it was a very good performance first time out, and you know, I think he got some experience out of the race, and I called it no more than a tune-up for this race. So we're hoping that he comes back and steps up a notch and is able to you know, run well today.
Mike, you ran him for a tag this day. Were you concerned at all that somebody was going to pluck him from here?
Well, there's always that concern, but we had paid $40 for him at the sale. You know, you can't run them all in made to special weight races. I have so many two-year-olds that we have to kind of pick, you know, different spots for some of them. And, you know, we felt like even though we had talent, we could get away with it, and we did. And so, like I say, we took a shot, and it worked.
He's coming back pretty quick. Shows what looks to be a nice work. How's he doing coming up to the Futurity?
Of course, his training great. He did have a really, really good work in hand. The 47-2 was without being asked, and you know, like I said, I think he's done nothing but move forward since his maiden win.
Now, your other Futurity starter is Ike Walker, and we are about to take a look at his last start. This is his second career race, going 7/8, and he is number 2 in here. Mike, when he debuted back in July, going shorter, he didn't really show much. Was he in need of that first start?
Well, this was a race that at that time in July at Arlington, they really hadn't started riding races past 5.5 furlongs. He had been in the barn from early on. We had plenty of work into him, and it came to a point where we either had to work him 3 or 4 more times to get him ready to go long, or just go ahead and get him in a race, give him some experience, and you know, let him have a start, you know, to move forward from. And we knew going into it that the 5.5 furlongs was way too short. He's totally different than One Go All Go, where he's more of a one-pace horse that's going to be a definite 2-turn horse as a 3-year-old. And, you know, he got the experience he needed out of the first race. When he came out of the gate for his second race, he showed a little more quickness, was right there on the pace, and then was able to just draw off late in the race. And, you know, like I said, he's one that's learning, and I think you're going to see nothing but improvement out of this horse.
Mike, who do you think has the better chance this afternoon?
Well, I'll tell you what, I like both. I like both horses. They're very different horses, and I think this is going to be kind of a jockey's race. As you can see, if you look at the form in this race, there's really not a definite speed horse. I think there's going to be some jockeying for position, and I think the trip is going to make the race. So I think the horse that gets the right trip is going to be the winner. I think any one of maybe 5 horses in this race could win it.
Well, Mike, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. All the best later today with Jessica Starr in the Super Derby and with One Go All Go and Ike Walker in the Arlington, Washington Futurity.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you having me on, Mark.
Thank you, Mike. Mike Stidham, ladies and gentlemen. Time to thank all the folks who helped get this week's show on the air here at the studios at the Clubhouse Racebook in Albany. Our associate producer, Julie Hoxie, as well as Mick Richards. Back in the control room in Schenectady, Pat Peretta directed, Dino Contonacci on audio. Also, thanks go out to Dan Hayes and Pete Persico for their help. Thanks to our guests, Mike Stidham and Kellyn. And thanks to our sponsor, Parting Glass Racing, Saratoga's original racing partnership. Visit them on the web at partingglassracing.com. And as always, thank you so much for having joined us this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful weekend. The initial weekend of September. Have some fun. Have an enjoyable upcoming week. And from all of us here at Down the Stretch, we'll see you next week.